for the hardest-hitting show in talk radio. The true progressive voice since 2012. This is Southpaws.
And welcome to Southpaws on the Pacifica Radio Network. We are the leaders of the revolution. My name is Darren Gibson.
I'm Katy Steele.
I'm Jack Prince.
We've got quite a few things to talk about today. We're definitely going to talk about the shooting at Oxford High School north of Detroit that killed 4 students and injured several others, a couple that are still in the hospital apparently. So we're going to talk about that. We have a Hammer Time segment this week as well as a result of the shootings, so we'll get to all that in just a minute. Before we get started with today's show, a couple of reminders. You can follow us on social media by going to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. You can follow us on Twitter at Southpaws Radio. You can follow us on Tumblr at southpawsradioshow.tumblr.com. You can follow us on YouTube by doing a search for Southpaws Radio. And you can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/Southpaws Radio. You can listen to the show anytime at Spreaker, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, or Reason.fm by doing a search for Southpaws. Once you found our logo, you found us. We send links to our weekly episodes to our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and YouTube accounts. You can listen to us on Global Community Radio Channel 1 every Saturday night at 11 Eastern. And you can hear us on great Pacifica stations, including KCEI in Taos, New Mexico, KZGM in Kabul, Missouri, and KEPJ in San Antonio, Texas. So be sure to listen to us there as well. Our quote of the week is Albert Einstein. He said, "A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it." I guess that means by solving the problem before it becomes a problem.
Or maybe just avoiding it altogether.
Yeah, who knows? It's open to interpretation, so we're just going to interpret it the way that we want to. All right. Well, a couple of corrections from last week's episode. You were talking, Jack, about the ban on photographing coffins of
returning Vietnamese
dead soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was George H.W. Bush in 1991. That ban got lifted in 2009, but only if the family agrees to allow photography.
Which, you know what, for all intents and purposes, it's still on then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they totally make you sign a contract in the beginning deciding if your picture can be published. I guarantee you that covers it.
Yeah, there's not one in 1,000 families that want Johnny's casket photographed.
Yeah.
Also, I looked into the protest songs during Vietnam. That was the radio stations banning them, not the government. They're not allowed to do so.
With pressure from guess who the excuse me.
And only now have the radio stations actually become the government.
I was going to say, the radio station. That's like saying that the local politicians work independently.
Yeah.
The radio stations did it with the pressure coming, again, from Bush,
the government, yeah.
Specifically from Bush. They knew the power of the photograph. They knew the power of songs.
Exactly.
If you stop that, they know if you criminalize marijuana, that you'll knock out the black protest.
Oh, yeah.
So that it's on tape.
Go listen to Martin Luther King's last speech. He lays out the template they use every time.
There's actually one protest song I got to get from Pacifica. Somebody has produced a Free Julian Assange protest song. So we'll have to download that, and we'll have to play it on our next episode just to be in solidarity. Cause,
you remember the song, I Ain't No Fortunate Son?
Yeah, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah, it was ubiquitous. It was a #1 song. Mm-hmm. And that's a song about the government picking on the middle class and the high percentage of blacks going to Vietnam.
Exactly.
Buffalo,
they ain't gonna allow
Springfield. That was another good one.
Yep, For What It's Worth. That's the name of that song. Yep.
And at the big concert in New York, right? Woodstock.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. got the revolution.
Look at Born in the USA. That was a protest song.
Look at the people who were imprisoned with MLK that sang the whole time they were in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what we did when we got arrested downtown for the immigration protest. We sang while we wait.
That song.
And that's exactly it. They don't want them to see that because I wish I could remember the exact words he used, but Martin Luther King, when discussing it, he said, because there's more than one kind of fire. And that's the other fire he was talking about, when you actually inspire people through art, through music, through human interaction.
Yeah. And then last week you mentioned the homes exploding with the gas in Pennsylvania. Was that Allentown?
I'm not sure. I know it was 70 to 80 homes.
Okay, because the only one I was found was 8 homes in Allentown, but that was
I would
only
not
a few
be
years
surprised
ago.
if it's not in the news right now.
Five dead.
This was 70 to 80 homes, and it was not. It was somewhere out east, and I cannot remember the exact city, but I will find it later so we can correct that again.
Yes, definitely. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and get into our current stuff here. An absolute horrific. I can't even call it a tragedy anymore. It's just horrible what happened at Oxford High School earlier this week. 4 dead students.
It's also normal.
And that's the problem, is that it's become normal. And who's responsible for it becoming normal? We are, because we haven't changed things.
I still brought my kid to school, and I don't know what to do to change things now. I don't know what the most dangerous thing here is to do, because there's so many dangers.
Yes, and we are recording on Friday, December 3rd, 2021. Several school districts in the West Michigan area have closed for the day.
I didn't see any of that.
Using a quote, under a preponderance of caution or something like that.
But as a West Michigan parent with a kid in school, I saw nothing about that until you guys told me.
Wow.
About the threats?
My kid's school was open. I sent him to school. Yeah, I heard nothing about threats until you guys told me.
Well, there's a cloud of confusion here because, as I said, GRPS has been notified that days ago they're going to be closed before the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So did the shooting in Oxford stem from this universal threat, or did the shooting in Oxford cause this universal
before
threat?
The shooting?
GRPS was, now they may have an excuse.
It may have been a COVID or Records Day or something like that. Who knows what?
Or they may be hiding the fact that there
they had already
a concerted effort to threaten the schools that you as a mother and millions of others never heard about.
Right. Mm-hmm. And now that there's fewer of them open, we're all bigger targets.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before the show.
Yeah. I've got this story. This is Mara McDonald and Kayla Clark reporting for WDIV television out of Detroit. This is dated December 2. More information is expected to be released Friday regarding a shooting at Oxford High School. 4 students were killed. 6 students and a teacher were injured during the shooting on Tuesday. 15-year-old Ethan Crumbly has been charged as an adult. He was a sophomore student at Oxford High School. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald said, quote, "These parents are in such terrible, horrible grief. It's a terrible thing what happened. The information that will be announced tomorrow will also disclose that it probably could have been prevented and that it is unconscionable. So it is just not enough to charge this shooter." End of quote. They're talking about charging the parents.
Right, and that quote was kind of misleading because when she referred to these parents, and she was not referring to his parents, the shooter's parents. She was referring to the victim's parents.
Exactly.
They should have specified that.
Yes.
No indication that these parents.
Right. It's almost as if the journalists want to paint his parents as somebody that should be sympathized with, which she specifically said. I would imagine she read that article because she specifically said in her interview yesterday morning with 104.5 here in town.
Yeah, WSNX.
Yep. She just explained that there are certain cases she has worked where she had felt a lot of compassion and sympathy for the parents of a violent offender, knowing after learning what had happened that it wasn't their fault. But she said this is not one of those cases, and she has seen specific pieces of evidence that have her. It's blatant based on what she was saying, and I'm really interested to see what drops.
And the notes from the meeting in the school, I would love to get my hands on.
Oh, and I'm sure that will all be coming out in the trial, because if they had him in the office, they were aware of a threat before any of this happened, and they sent him back to class. I mean, like, we've closed down schools for weeks because there was a threat that somebody could possibly get COVID.
Yeah.
But this kid threatens to kill people, and you let him go and out and actually do it. Leave the school open. Like.
Yeah. It's I don't even have the words for it.
Those schools lawyers
It's
have that
purposeful.
locked behind graphite walls. You'll never
I know.
see
Mm-hmm.
that
This is,
incrimination.
I honestly believe this is, as the Oakland County prosecutor said yesterday on the radio, she said, we are being desensitized to this. This is the worst massacre to have happened in Michigan in forever. It's the worst one to
Yeah.
have happened in Oakland County ever. And what? We're all waking up and we're living our lives like we did yesterday. It's not even a big deal to us anymore because it's so normal.
Well, do you remember Columbine? Is anybody here at the table?
Yes.
remember?
I was giving birth to my daughter as they were shooting.
For weeks, it was mainstay journalism,
Yeah.
right? For weeks.
Yeah.
Now,
I didn't. Yeah.
It was the top article.
It was a
everywhere.
bit more severe. This would be gone in 4 days. This will be completely moved off
That is-
its pedestal.
That's
in
a
4
crazy
days.
story because I was
Yeah.
physically in the moment of labor, like the end of it. I was giving birth as the shooting was happening. So because of the timing of it, my family didn't let me see. I never saw it until I got out of the hospital. They kept the TV off
Oh, wow.
because they didn't want me to welcome my first kid into the world where that was what was happening to kids.
Yeah. So you remember
And
when
it-
your uncle
Makes
said,
sense.
"Well, you know, my dad told me if the bully is there bullying you, then you go and you punch him right in the nose." That was the answer. That
To
was
everything.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yep.
And it was honorable. And
Yeah.
families, and little 90-pound moms said, "Yeah, you punch that bully in the nose." Well, my inspection, as sketchy as it is, people referring to the shooter said he was bullied. Has anybody else seen that?
I've never seen any evidence of that, but I've seen on the radio at least twice now them refer to this always being an element of these crimes, which I was very offended by because they didn't point out that being an element of this crime.
They did not point that out, did they?
No, it
No.
wasn't there as
They
far as
did
anybody
not
knows.
point it out in Columbine either. It took months and months later to discover
That those kids
that these
weren't.
kids were bullied.
Oh, okay. That they were actually bullied.
So this kid, if he shot because he was bullied in the school,
We're not going to see that.
no, you're not going to see that.
Right.
But I can see the parents giving the admonition, you have to hit the bullies head on. You have to do that. It's a mantra here in the United States.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely is. It's the same as, you got to get your kids out of the house at 18. You got to, because if you want them to be good adults, then you can't take care of them. And you got to spank them or they're going to be bad people.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so many horrible parenting mantras here that
Yes.
we're setting
absolutely.
ourselves up for a violent society.
You don't fight fire for fire with the bullies because the fire will turn into a weapon in your hand.
And that's it. And
if
you're
you
the only
continue.
one with empathy here. That guy doesn't have it.
Yeah. You mentioned violent society. I've always made the argument this country was founded on violence.
Well, it was.
Because it was.
But this is just one country, and we've
this
got
is
so
just
many of these
evolving.
issues all over the world. It's not, and we can say there's not as many guns in the other countries, but these
Western-
craziness is happening in other countries too.
We're a Western civilization country.
Mm-hmm.
The cornerstone of the United States is Christianity. God took care of his problems killing something.
Exactly.
If
There
it
was
was,
all
if it was
violence.
his son, if it was his son, that's okay. If it was a Philistine, the Amalekites.
War has always been acceptable for the same reason.
If it wasn't an Amalekite, it was pigeons, it was goats, it was bulls. They
You
were
had to kill
killed
the wolves,
to
you had to kill-
satisfy God. And you wonder why our ethic, our ethos, is what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
We eat animals.
You got a severe enough problem. The answer to it is to kill something. It's that simple. It is biblical.
It is. I'm going to continue this article a little bit further down here. Prosecutor McDonald is expected to decide soon if Ethan Crumbley's parents, Jennifer and James Crumbley, will face charges. And it sounds like there might be a decision while we're recording this show or shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I did hear that she was either it would be yesterday or sometime tomorrow morning.
That's
so I would
because
expect
they're listening to the show. And it
Well,
will have
clearly.
impact.
Prosecutor McDonald said, quote, "We're reviewing potential charges and hope to have an announcement about that in the next 24 hours, end of quote. McDonald was asked Thursday about what potential charges the parents could face, but she did not go into detail. Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard did say how Ethan Crumbley acquired the 9mm 6-hour pistol that he's accused of using in the shooting. One of Ethan Crumbley's parents purchased the weapon legally at an area store on November 26, just 4 days before the shooting. So I believe it was the father that purchased the gun, although the mom is also a Second Amendment advocate. You could see that on a blog that she posted on November 11th, 2016, but when we went to that blog this morning, it had been removed. So I don't know who removed it or why. Probably her trying to cover evidence, hide evidence. That'll be another charge against her.
Darren Gibson, you're a trained journalist. You know that brevity is important and succinctness. What did it say in short term?
She was talking about a bunch of different things. She said she couldn't bring herself to vote for Hillary Clinton, although she called herself a feminist. I do remember that. She thanked Trump for supporting the Second Amendment. She very blatantly said that. Toward the end, she basically railed on the government.
Which is a lot of the same things that I have done, which is why I'm a little worried about. I want to be careful her
ending line was something to the effect of, I would rather get grabbed by the instead of in the ass. That is a direct quote.
That's
which
all
is
you need
her
to say.
opinion.
You didn't have to say anything else.
That's how crude, obnoxious, and selfish, I guess. Really, I don't know. Selfish, I think, is good.
You realize she wrote that in the best possible style,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And it's still a horror. Everything she said was pretty bad.
And that flag tells you what she really is, and before
what she
Trump
really
was
says
born.
is, if it's okay for me, then I'm going to let him do it to you. And that's what she was saying with the last sentence. And that's what she was saying with every sentence. Is what I want is what you have to deal with. It's just complete selfishness, people like that.
Okay, this element exists, right? It's out there. It's in this neighborhood.
Yep.
I'm sorry to say there's parents sitting from Kentwood kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not to scare you.
Probably more in Comstock Park.
I have a granddaughter in Washington schools. They're there. They're ubiquitous.
Yep.
And they're threatening us more and more. The walls are closing in. Our safety, our paranoia is legitimate. It's getting tighter and tighter. We've talked about it on this show. So what do we do? Just wait until the phone calls for us?
I'm in the middle of making the decision between having to tell my kid that he's not allowed to go to school. I mean, I don't know what else I can do at this point. But how is that going to affect him as a person? Do I do that and make him live in fear?
I'm not making any recommendations.
Right. That's kind of a rhetorical question.
Yeah,
but
I'm looking at the bigger picture.
And that's what I want to do, too, because it's not just my kid. And my kid's going to grow up, and there's other kids that are going to be there. So what do we do, you know?
And we talked before the show about taking Trump out of the equation. I'm going to do that. Okay. Let's take Trump right out of the equation because we were thinking that when Biden or anybody, Mickey Mouse, was elected in 2020.
That this violence was going to not be like this.
But it's gotten
worse. It's continuously getting worse.
Traceably worse.
Yep. That's why we can't connect it directly to Trump.
And where will it be a year from now?
Exactly. And where will we be if Trump is elected again?
It'll get
someone worse.
It'll get worse because
it has to.
He's the one that stokes. He stoked
it. No, it keeps getting worse, though. Biden's stoking it, too.
By getting worse, it gets Trump. In other words, don't say Trump maybe made it worse. Maybe it made Trump. It got what it wanted.
Exactly.
Let's use this analogy. Trump was the match that lit the fuse. The fuse is burning, getting bigger, and it keps going until it hits the powder keg.
Right.
But there was a pack of matches.
The fuse.
There was a whole pack. It just happened to catch Trump.
The actual fuse being the supporters that go along with this, which is why I say it keeps going and growing and going on.
But the powder keg sitting there with its violent games, sitting there with its Christian heritage, right, of violence, was getting drier and drier, whistling for a match. Oh, man, we've got 42% guaranteed vote.
And let's talk about the trail of gasoline that the GOP has brought all the way to the fire that nobody's going to be – that's the problem, is that for 45 years we've got this trail of gasoline from the GOP, and they've just been waiting.
Yep. And it's all together
for the match and the spark. They've already got everything else ready.
It's all together.
And that's what here's the thing is we've continuously for 45 years played into their hand. Into their hand, even by opposing – even by not opposing the Democrats, but even by opposing their policies, even by supporting the Democrats, we have played into the hand of the ultimate agenda because here we are, and they've got everything they want set up. We've stopped none of it.
And now we're to a point where fascism gets stronger by fighting it.
Right. So now that's my point. Listen to Martin Luther King's last speech because every answer is in it. He says Pharaoh had a great way to stop people from uprising against slavery. You keep the people fighting amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them fighting amongst themselves. And then he talks about how the problem with a little bit of violence is that's all you're going to see. The news is only going to show you the broken windows.
Mm-hmm. But let's take the myth of Antifa on January 6th, or Antifa in Charlottesville, or Antifa, or
anywhere.
any liberal pushback.
Yeah.
Whenever they needed to get wind under their wings, they maintained that there was a fight back against their violence.
Exactly.
That just accelerates them.
Exactly. And they can make it up. They can manufacture it if they need to. Mm-hmm. He would have the inmates, when they were arrested for protesting, they would sit in jail and sing together for hours. Mm-hmm. How do you make a group of people sitting there with hands held, singing, look violent? And these are the things we need to grasp onto. Instead of the memes about guillotines, which are very, very attractive to me, not going to lie. I've had a really good time with those these last few years. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, that's not how we're going to win. I'm seeing it now. We have to find another way, and we have to inspire people with connectedness and love and a future that's good for everybody, and not setting it all on fire.
That we saw Boebert, is that her name? The gun-toting Colorado.
Lauren Boebert, yeah.
Lauren
Boebert.
Lauren, who insists on walking into the Congress with a piece on every day. Still, I think she still does it.
The Democrats could oppose this in front of her now.
It's easy to oppose it. You file a motion, expel her from Congress. That's how you do it.
Okay, so
they don't have the political will or the guts to do it, or they're just going right along with them.
She makes up a fictitious tape of the congresswoman from Minnesota, right? Am I right? Going into an elevator.
Yeah.
And says something about, well, you don't have a backpack on, the jihad's safe, or some, totally mythical. Comes up with a bogus apology, and we spent the media's attention for a week on this tit for tat. You haven't heard any of this?
I haven't heard any of it because I do not turn on the TV.
Yeah.
It totally avoided that whole distraction. But
try NPR. I mean, it's you've heard of it, haven't you?
Yeah.
I know. I don't. NPR is the same. I don't watch or listen to any of it.
That's fine. But that's where our Congress is today, having a cat fight with
this
two
is
nuts.
my point, though. You just heard what Darren said, and he said they could easily do this. There is a solution. They don't have the political will. So why are we looking at them?
Because
we already know they do not have the political will. We're distracting ourselves with a solution that is not really a solution. Why do we keep doing that?
Our eyes as a nation, not your eyes, are being trained on this very juicy cat fight.
Yep, exactly. Which is why I turned off the TV and NPR. And if you turn it off, you do not see it. And that is it's a whole different world out here, you guys.
Hey, you go to my house, you won't get any of the cable news shows. If you want to watch news, you'll watch network news, and you'll like it.
In my GMC.
I don't watch news. I don't watch network news.
I still listen to Hartman, and this particular incident is so ugly, and it's indicative of violence now in the very nucleus of the government. Mm-hmm. And I think that the January 6th took us to a new level. It took us to a level we'll never recover from.
Yeah.
It's a building block to the next level. It's out of control.
This has only been a building block, and it's all happening at once. And the part that I guess is so frustrating is people, they don't get it. Everybody sees one issue. They see maybe two. They don't. That's the whole point, is if they throw it all at us at once, we don't have a chance of combating it.
No, we don't.
Okay,
we can't come at abortion and gun control the same week.
As grandparents and parents of children. Right?
Right.
And, I mean, I'm late in the fourth quarter of my life, but I'm thinking of the world, would have to come after the shooting in our own state to the impossible task of saying, what, if anything, can turn this tendency? Because we are going over the falls.
So what though? That's my thing. Like, what do we do? What?
I don't think it's the inactivity of the Democratic Party. We know they're gone. That's like.
Well, here's the thing. Legally, we don't have the power to draft a law. We don't have it. The only people that have it are legislators. Mm-hmm. They're not doing it. We are not
at the federal level.
We are not allowed to pressure them. And that's literally what they're trying to do right now with these school board meetings and telling us to go protect the public officials. They want us to get mad and pass laws to protect them.
It's a Christmas
not
season.
us.
Isn't there some organization that would have 50,000 people in the parking lot at Oxford? You talk about a peaceful setting. Where's it at? Where's there? We talked to last week about no pushback.
All those people are working for private, non-profit, little industrial complex things, and they think they're helping by giving those people money, and all they're doing is keeping them all separated so they don't end up in that parking lot.
What we really need to do is we need to buy our own lobbyists. That's really what it comes down to.
No, I am not joining them because we can't beat them. Yeah. That's what they want us to do on every level. We got to Airbnb because we can't afford to pay our rent.
Well, then what's the
solution? We got to go get a gun because they got more guns. It's not joining them. I will not join any of them.
It's got to, first of all, it has to be grassroots, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay, where's the grassroots at?
That's us, and we got to literally go pick up our friends right now and drive there, I think.
The three of us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
somebody's got to start
Are there more people like us?
All these people are like us. They're just too damn busy to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Somehow they've got thousands and thousands.
Or they're too insulated in their own
issues.
little
And they're trying to survive right now, too. People are trying to pay rent, get gas in their car, eat, and they're pulling the rug out from everybody at once. That's the scary part. My friend in California posted today that there's nowhere to rent in California. And she's heard it's actually like that in some other places, too.
Nowhere that you can afford to rent?
You might want to look further because there's nowhere in the country.
Yeah.
Nowhere. My cousin's house that she bought for $39,000 25 years ago just sold for $160,000. So our kids, we were pregnant for our kids together when she bought that home. And our kids are now 24 years old, right? Mm-hmm. What are they going to do? They're going to have to rent a bedroom in that house.
$169,000 in California is a down payment.
Right. And I know but
I actually
give us 5 years.
Percentage-wise, I know.
5 years, that's where we'll be.
Katie, I actually had to explain this to my mother because she's like, oh, you can just buy property. No, you can't.
You
can't buy anything.
And if you can buy it, you can't build on it.
You know, once again, I argued with my mom. We drove past the car dealership. We get our stuff.
Did you show her the prices?
No, I showed her how empty the lot. Well, there's cars. I said, Mother, take a really good look. Mm-hmm. There is nothing in that parking lot. No. You can shoot a cannon through the middle of the parking lot and not hit anything.
Spoiler alert, they're not going to – there's no more gas vehicles. It's going to be electric, so buy electric.
My son is flying in, and then we're going to get my granddaughter in Washington and go to Florida. So I had to rent a car. I did this morning.
Okay.
There's only one type of car I can rent. They're gone. And this is for the 19th of December.
And half the time when you get there, they still don't have them.
Yeah, because there's – but you're talking about there's no property. This is a true story. I also traveled to Utah here within the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Coming back through Colorado, I hear two guys in a coffee shop. Okay, this is maybe 100 miles west of Denver on the I-70 area. They're talking about some counties where you still can buy inexpensive land. Okay, it's remote. There's nothing.
Exactly.
There's
you got to know somebody who knows something.
They're saying, yeah, you can get $3,000-$4,000. You can get half an acre.
Yeah, that's even
he says
affordable.
What's happening is people are coming in. They don't have a building license. They're digging a hole in mountainsides and lining it with wood.
Off grid.
And they're living like absolute pirates. And the feces and the sewage, they're getting 50-gallon cans. And these homesteads, the property has dozens of 50-gallon cans because there's no sewage. It's beyond third country. This is in the middle of Colorado.
Well, keep in mind, first of all, Michigan is just as many off-gridders in the UP. I'm in a group on Facebook, and everybody's looking to buy property there to live off-grid with no energy companies. So they're looking into any way they can dispose of everything themselves, get water. They're tapping their own wells, right? But the problem is there's so many ordinances and building codes out there that the township is making a ton of money because they're going through and getting fines from all of them. So they're not going to be able to. Yeah, they're fining them because you're not supposed to build structures on certain properties. They're like.
But they can't get them off.
Well, I mean, they own the property, but you can't. Like, they're not allowed to build. They'll tell them they have to tear it down. In Michigan, they will not let you build unless you are ordinance. Like
unless you go to the building inspector and submit plan. You've been through that because you're
in a
helping
lot of the townships,
our friend Terry build the house.
Right, and in a lot of the townships, though, there's the size restrictions based on the size of the lot, and that's why the lots are even available because they're too small to build on.
Okay, let's direct this back toward the original premise, which is what the hell can we do to curb this growing mountain of violence, right? Are we really saying that our hands are tied because the protesters can't even take a day off. And I'm not being facetious.
Right, no.
But living is so difficult.
Well, to tie it into what we were just talking about, I mean, we really need to actually go on foot, go out to these places where people are living like this, because these people aren't crazy and they're not all violent. Most of them just don't want to deal with any of this. They don't want to pay an energy company. They want to make their own food, live their life, and just not have to deal with any of this crap.
Have you seen the series Mountain Men?
I've a couple times.
Yeah.
They help each other. These are good neighbors. These are, from what I've seen, they're decent people that...
Yeah, these are people that just don't want to be part of society. They don't want to deal with all the first world BS that we put up with every day. They want a simple life, and they want to be left alone, except for their neighbors that they help them out.
Right, and that's cool, but like what we have to understand is that we can't paint them all as bad or scary, because when we think about an ultimate solution, we could definitely have participation from people like this. We also have everybody we know in the city, which so many people think like us and understand where we're coming from. And if there was a plan that they could jump in and help, they would do it. But again, they don't know what to do. So that's what it comes down to, I think, is we need real leadership that is in it for actual good and not for personal.
And not selfish.
Right.
And for us to get that leadership, we're all too experienced to realize how the wheels of sausage work around here. You don't get that leadership.
No, you don't. You don't make it about leadership. You avoid a hierarchy. You never become a 501c3 or 4. You never make it about raising money. If people need help, you help each other, and that's how you build community. And
okay,
we know
are we
enough
talking
people.
Leadership outside of the establishment?
Oh, outside of the establishment, everything has to be outside of the establishment.
Right.
Yes.
So when we say we want to affect leadership, we're not talking about the presidency or the commissioners down in downtown Grand Rapids.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the opposition forces to all of this.
Okay, for leadership there.
No, like, you can't.
See, there was leadership there 50 years ago. There, in the black, we were talking last week, the black ministers.
Malcolm X, Martin Luther King.
Those leaders rise themselves. And it's never a hierarchical situation. Martin Luther King was never the president of anything. He was never appointed as some big...
I'm talking about the institutions of liberality.
Exactly.
Remember we talked about the theater, talked about unions, talked about, right? There were leaders in those institutions. They're not there now.
That's exactly why they all fall apart.
They're not there now. So now if we're talking about a leader, it's completely devoid of any of the institutions, the traditional liberal institutions, like the Democratic Party, for example.
When we talk about these kind of leaders, these are self-made leaders that lead because they've gained respect. They've earned respect. That's a leader, in my opinion.
Where are they at?
We don't have a movement, so it's really hard to have leaders rise up through it.
See,
they're doing what everybody else is doing. We're working, and maybe we're some of those leaders, and we haven't done the work to organize the rest of the people we need. But they're there. I know that humanity is filled with people.
Once again, let's go back to dystopian movies. Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Dennis Leary. Hey, why don't you lead these people? I'm not a leader. Well, he's like, they just follow me, and sometimes we get food, sometimes we starve. It's either live upstairs their way or live down here and survive.
Hollywood has pumped out so many dystopian movies and otherwise with the non-willing leader being prodded to take over in a completely non-institutional framework. But I'm looking in the real world, okay? I don't know where that leader would thrive.
I see Fred Hampton when I think of the leaders we need, and that's where
that would be a leader.
We got to get these kids out of school. We got to get them out on the streets.
Fred Hampton. If they went in, you saw the movie, and blew the building apart for the Black Panthers, right, and killed Hampton, that took a few months. Hell, it wouldn't take a few hours now.
Oh, exactly.
You have anything even remotely like that, it'd be wiped out with a bomb.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, let's continue talking a little bit more about what happened at Oxford, but let's go ahead and play the music for this segment.
Stop! Hammer time!
Oh, yeah, it's hammer time, and it is time to drop the hammer on the douchebag of the week. I've got this story. Lauren Gibbons writing for MLive.com. This is dated December 1. So the winner of douchebag of the week is Michigan State Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey QAnon out of Clark Lake. Here's the story here. As the senator who represents Oxford vowed to push for meaningful change following a Tuesday shooting that killed 4 students and seriously injured several more, Michigan's top Senate Republican urged restraint, arguing that focusing too strongly on eliminating risks could mean, quote, we will then develop and evolve into a country we won't recognize, end of quote. During Senate session Wednesday, lawmakers took a moment of silence to commemorate the victims and others affected by the shooting after an impassioned speech from Senator Rosemary Beyer, Democrat, Beverly Hills, whose district includes Oxford High School. Beyer, who co-chairs Michigan's Legislative Firearms Safety and Violence Prevention Caucus, said she's currently focused on supporting and directing resources toward grieving students, staff, and families in Oxford, a community she previously lived in. But she said she and other lawmakers who have long supported more robust gun safety policies in hopes of preventing more mass shootings have, quote, a bunch more things in the cooker, end of quote, in the aftermath of a shooting that hit far closer to home. She said, quote, we can't do nothing. We have to take action right this minute, today. We're doing everything we can to try to help them get through this, because I don't know if you guys ever felt anything like this before, but everything inside me is tied into a knot. Everything hurts, end of quote. Legislative Democrats have long pushed for gun reforms, including policy proposals that would require universal background checks, require safe storage of firearms that could be accessible to minors, exempt firearm safety devices from state taxes, prevent those convicted of domestic violence from possessing guns for several years, and allow gun bans on local government property. None of those measures have gained traction in the Republican-controlled legislature. Another effort to ban firearms in the state capitol building after armed protesters stormed the state capitol in April 2020 resulted in the ban of open carry in the state capitol, although concealed carry is not banned and there are no security checks for the public upon entry to the building. So here's where Shirkey comes in. Asked by reporters Wednesday whether there would be a legislative response to the shooting, Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey, Republican R-Clarklake, said, quote, there's a time and season for everything, end of quote, and stressed the importance of supporting the victims' families and community. He said there would be time for future legislative discussions on possible follow-up actions, but noted it's possible some of the circumstances leading up to the shooting, particularly the suspect's access to a gun purchased November 26th by his father, are, quote, already controllable, but for maybe just missing the signs, end of quote. Here's what Shirkey said that really pissed me. Quote, we could, I suppose, spend a lot of our time focusing on eliminating every risk that we have, because there's a lot of them. But if we get obsessed with eliminating all risks, we will then develop and evolve into a country we won't recognize because we'll also have no freedom. It's a balance.
Let me paraphrase that. That's the risk of worrying about risks. He's talking the risk, right? If you do something about the risk of danger, that's a risk.
I'll paraphrase it even simpler than that. I don't give a f*** about your children because my goddamn freedoms.
Okay,
there it is.
Let's compare this quote, because the radical person that I am has to do so, to Dana Nessel and Gretchen Whitmer's response.
Yes.
Which I found incredibly disappointing, because they both gave us thoughts and prayers and went on to discuss how we need more than thoughts and prayers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, great. But what are you going to do?
Mantra.
Nothing. Dana Nessel said she's going to go in and assist law enforcement. Assist with what? Passing the guns out on the streets? Because at this point, law enforcement isn't doing anything. And as the top law enforcement official in the state, who I campaigned for, she has a responsibility to protect my kids.
We've talked about this on this show. Does law enforcement really do anything?
Yes, they shoot people who are innocent.
There you go.
They show up in terrorized neighborhoods. They scare poor people. They do all kinds of horrible things. But have they ever run through and helped me? One time they got me $70 back. But the 3 times my life was threatened, they just endangered it more.
Exactly. And they're not there to prevent crime. They're there to show up after the fact.
Exactly. And they'll come get your $70 back.
They play softball with
they
the
won't
black
help you
ministers
save your
here
life.
in Grand Rapids once a year.
Yeah. Shirkey said he has not spoken to any of the victims' families at this point. Quote, I suspect there's a long list of people who have been doing that, end of quote, although he noted Senator Ruth Johnson, Republican of Holly, has been reaching out and spending time with those peripherally involved. Beyer, in comments on the Senate floor, said she kept thinking about the situation as a mother. Quote, the first thing that hit me was, what if it was my daughter? End of quote.
Apparently nobody cares if it was any of your kids. None of you care. And don't talk to me about the Republicans, because we have a majority, we have a AG, we have a governor, and our kids are still getting murdered, and we're getting thoughts and prayers.
Here's the interview I heard. The Democrat interviewed about what we're going to do said, well, there's unison. Even with people across the aisle, they love to say, my friends across the aisle.
Yeah.
We agree. We need more training, more gun safety training.
Yep.
And I assure you, this is Democrat.
Training.
I assure you that we are not going to take away anybody's guns. Don't worry. We're not going to take away anybody's guns. We have more training. And
as the Oakland County prosecutor yesterday said, the training went perfectly. They apprehended this kid in 5 minutes. She said, I don't think that's ever happened before. The police officers did what they were supposed to do, what they were trained to do. The school officials did what they were supposed to do, what they were trained to do. The children did what they were supposed to do and trained to do. And 4 people are still dead. So what is the point of more training if even when it works, people are getting murdered?
That's the only thing they can say. Plus, they also talk about personal. The kid goes to gun safety classes, behind the silver bullet.
Right.
And
how to clean it.
Across the street from the school.
I would say that the reason that the cops, and we talked about this before we started recording, the reason that the cops had this kid in 5 minutes was because of the 16-year-old football player
who rushed him.
Rushed him and lost his life for it. There's a hero
because,
right there.
Kids have courage to put themselves out there and risk their own damn lives to help each other, but the cops don't. And we don't even demand that from them anymore. It used to be, if you want a badge, you better be ready to risk your life.
Yeah. See, this kid, the 16-year-old, I'm not here to tout high school football players, although I have to say they're trained that the simplest answer is the one to go for, right? You got a kid shooting people down the end of the hallway. You don't run the other way.
Right.
If you had 50 other people do that, maybe none of them got shot.
Right.
The problem is the police, but more importantly is we've become codified in our response to shootings. It works like a time machine. The first 8 hours, you get the white roses sent from Whitmer, right, to the parents. You get a quote in the media that this is parents' worst nightmare.
The prosecutor calls all the parents.
Yeah, then you get the candlelight. Then you get the, let's call for increased
and
training.
For the next week, you get their obituaries and the pictures in the mail so that the newspapers get all the clickbait.
Right. We've learned how to flush this out of our mind.
Well, and we keep training kids for it because it's clearly we're not going to stop it. So now we have to train kids for it. And I asked my son, I said, you guys do these drills, right? I said, what do you do when you do a school shooting drill? He said, well, we have to turn off all the lights. The teacher locks the door, and we crouch in a corner of a room. I said, and do you guys talk about the fact that if this ever happens, that the shooter is in the drill with you and knows exactly what's going to happen, so he's going to know how to circumvent it? And he said, yeah, the entire time. That's all we joke about. How asinine are we?
They're talking to elementary kids who say the practice scares the crap out of them.
Oh, yeah. It's traumatizing.
Just hearing some guy shake the door, that's scary enough.
Terrifying.
That's
Why am I crouching
in
a room in the dark? But that's what they're doing on purpose. They know that is trauma. They know that. So if you want to charge this kid for terrorism because of all the other kids that were hurt by it, why aren't we charging the school officials and the public officials for terrorism, for putting our kids into the corner with the lights off?
Did you see the video that was taken inside of one of the classrooms?
No, because it's trauma, and I don't need it anymore.
It is.
I'll explain the video here for our listeners who may not have seen it. It was apparently Sheriff Mike Bouchard identified it as one of the cops that was clearing the rooms. The kids didn't buy it. They're like,
good.
No. And they escaped out the window.
What kind of idiot cop sends an undressed police officer into a school shooting situation?
That says, bro.
Bro, open the door, bro. Yeah, that's a really good plan. I was so angry when I saw
the kid said, nope, red flag. Out the window.
Pretty sure that guy was already there. Why do they have undressed undercover police officers in the school if it's not avoiding a shooting? What are they really doing there?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be better to say, run for your life?
But the fact is,
go down the hallway.
That's not what they want, though. If their kids don't end up in prison, they're going to end up in the graveyard, and these people are okay with it. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement is okay with it.
We had to hide under the desk. And I always envisioned hiding under the desk, falling rafters as the bombs fell.
Yeah.
And my desk was going to save me.
You never would have seen any of that. It would have just been like...
I'd have been dust.
Yeah.
And that was right after the fluoride treatments we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, when they would hand out the fluoride and tell us it was going to fix our teeth. I have a dentist appointment soon, so that's not true.
So to Smirky Mike Shirkey, I've got this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag.
Yeah. He's been a previous winner of this award, and I'm really sick of him. And I believe he's term limited next year. This is somebody who needs to not hold public office ever again. What a scumbag. And I'm being nice.
Too, right?
I'm just at the point where I'm done with everybody in a public office because nobody has done a damn thing with it.
Yeah. Can we move on to a little bit of good news here?
If you can find
just
it.
to kind of, I have this story. This is the Associated Press reporting out of Mobile, Alabama. This is dated November 30th. An Alabama woman who says she was falsely arrested for shoplifting at a Walmart and then threatened by the company after her case was dismissed has been awarded $2.1 million in damages. A Mobile County jury on Monday ruled in favor of Leslie Nurse of Semmes, news outlets reported. Nurse said in a lawsuit that she was stopped in November 2016 when trying to leave a Walmart with groceries she said she had already paid for, according to AL.com. She said she used self-checkout, but the scanning device froze. Workers didn't accept her explanation, and she was arrested for shoplifting. Her case was dismissed a year later, but then she received letters from a Florida law firm threatening a civil lawsuit if she didn't pay $200 as a settlement, according to her lawsuit. That was more than the cost of the groceries that she was accused of stealing. Nurse said Walmart instructed the law firm to send the letters and that she wasn't the only one receiving them. So now we know what Walmart's tactics are. The suit contended, quote, the defendants have engaged in a pattern and practice of falsely accusing innocent Alabama citizens of shoplifting and thereafter attempting to collect money from the innocently accused, end of quote. WKRG reported that the trial featured testimony that Walmart and other major retailers routinely use such settlements in states where laws allow it, and that Walmart made hundreds of millions of dollars this way in a 2-year period. Defense attorneys for Walmart said the practice is legal in Alabama. A spokesperson told AL.com that the company will be filing motions in this case because it doesn't, quote, believe the verdict is supported by the evidence and the damages awarded exceed what is allowed by law, end of quote. So they're going to try and take this woman's $2.1 million away from her.
So they purposely freeze the scanner so that you go out and the door buzzes? Is that what we're saying?
Oh, and well, it's the same with parking. Parking downtown.
Russo's.
Anywhere downtown. Say you want to go to downtown. You put your money in the Motu app, and it doesn't work. Or you put it on your phone, and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I called the place because I had to call customer service and said, what do I do? It doesn't work. It's saying it won't let me pay. Took an hour to find a parking spot. I lied and told her I was going to work. So I got to go to work. What do I do? Well, you're going to be responsible for the ticket if the app isn't working. What? She said it's a third-party app vendor. And I said, so you're telling me you could turn off your app right now and every single person here would have to pay the ticket? Yeah.
Wow.
That's a gimmick that works. See, this is yesterday's shoplifters. These are your granddad's shoplifters. We're way beyond that now. A can of corn in the bottom of the bag.
Here's my
We're
question.
talking $25,000 worth of purses yesterday taken out of an exquisite shop in California. $25,000. They drive in. They go out with huge TVs, 10 or 12 people. They tell the guards to open the doors for them.
Mike, who is doing this? Because my question is it really people who are organizing? Is this like what's the agent provocateur type situation where we're going to have to now put armed guards at every door, and so they're building a case for that?
The report is
you're probably onto something
because
right
I have
there.
not seen anybody, any radical activists pushing this, involved in this, or even discussing this. The only place I'm hearing about it is some news that I don't watch.
No, it's an epidemic.
They just arrested 14 of them yesterday.
It's an epidemic. They're talking, and it's not just California.
I don't think it's an epidemic. I really think if it's organized, it's probably Blackwater organizing it.
It could very well be.
I don't know who's organizing it, but we're talking huge amounts of theft.
Nobody is that stupid.
They're blaming organized crime, and I don't buy that.
That's crap. Yeah.
Well, it may be the stores themselves, but nonetheless.
No, I don't think it's the stores. I think these are private military PMCs. It's in order to get more defense outside the stores.
They're claiming that it's, as Darren said, organized crime. But what is actual is this theft is going on in drugstores, in Home Depots, in across the board. This $25,000 purses was at a exquisite shop, I think, in Hollywood. Did you hear about that one?
No, I haven't heard about that one.
Yeah,
I know they've been in Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco.
Jesus, this is literally it's going to be a terrorism thing. They're trying to build another case for anti-terrorism laws.
Sure sounds like it, doesn't it?
No doubt in my mind.
Well, I've got even...
Gotta protect the property. Your kids are getting gunned down, and we won't even put a cop there. I'm sorry. We won't even give them a crossing guard to get across the street safe.
No, we'll put cops in the schools.
The cops will put there, but only to arrest your kids.
Well,
not to keep them from getting shot.
We can question the origin of these thefts, but you can't miss the difference between the Walmart shoplifting
the approach
issue
to how you protect property versus children.
Compared to mass theft.
Absolutely.
Well, I got some even better news here. It looks like there is a tentative agreement reached in the Kellogg strike. I have the information here. This comes directly from the union. Here's what the tentative agreement highlights are. Accelerated defined path for transitional employees to legacy wages and benefits, which they were trying to get rid of the two-tier system to begin with. I don't think they were able to get that, but... Wage increases for all, including 3% upon ratification for legacy employees and cost of living allowances thereafter. Substantial increases for transitional employees depending on years of service. Increased pension multiplier for legacy employees and enhanced benefits for all employees. Upon ratification, all employees with 4 years or more of service graduate to legacy wages and benefits. Then each year of the contract, transitionals graduate at the rate of 3% of the plant's head count. Core number is eliminated. Graduation caps are eliminated. During the first year of the contract, cost of living is a 3% increase to base rates and supplemental agreements. Years 2 through 5 is a cost of living float capped at $3 an hour for the term of the contract. No changes in current health care, no changes in retirement, no increase in contribution rates for 2022, and a new dental benefit for employees.
Wow.
And new vision benefit for employees.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we mention Omicron real fast before? I don't know how much time we have left.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Omicron variant.
Have you seen that Merkel's last day is, I think, this week?
I didn't.
Prime Minister in Germany?
No, I haven't seen that.
Well, on her way out, she's locking down the country the way a country should be locked down, right? And mind you, they already have 69% of their population vaccinated. United States comes in at 51. Canada comes in at 70. They'll never, ever get the lockdown that may be required to stem this Omicron here in the United States. Well, it won't happen. It's over. How do I know it's over? Biden got on last night with his new and improved answer to the COVID. And it's not vaccinations. It's
quarantine or shutdown.
It's testing. No, it's testing.
Testing now.
Larger testing. In a nutshell, it's nothing. The only thing that might be a bit more stringent, and I listened purposely to see what he had to say, in his goofball way, he came out with the testing theory that's going to answer the problem. Now, Merkel and Germany, who's had much better success, they completely went the opposite way. Said you've got to vaccinate for the Omicron. I don't know where the stuff comes from. I don't know if it's monkeys, bats, or in a lab, but I know this.
It's selling a lot of medical equipment, a lot of medicine, a lot of hospital stuff, and a lot of insurance companies are profiting from it.
I have a medical issue, and we've talked about it, my friends in this room. I tried to get an appointment here in Grand Rapids for the issue. Late July now is the time that I can be seen. This is not even the middle of December. For what would be a routine, it's not some weird brain cancer I'm talking about, because the systems are clogged the hell up.
Oh, yeah.
78% of people in the beds are unvaccinated.
Yeah, they're calling in federal help to help the nurses in the hospitals here because our emergency rooms are full.
Europe nosediving back into the cold, and we're going to be in the middle of it. United States, we talk about the violence. This
is where this is going. and I've been saying it, and I watched them set up for it last year, 2 years ago when COVID started, when they were like engineering how they could shut down the city in the event of a shutdown. And it's just going to start with testing. It'll end up being about the numbers, and it won't end up being about symptoms or anything, and that will be the reason for locking us down. But keep in mind, at the same time, they're pulling the rug out from everybody economically. And the climate is all happening at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So people are going to be dealing with hurricanes, floods, winter, sub-zero weather, plus they can't afford groceries. They're getting evicted. And all at the same time, what's Biden going to say? Oh, too bad you can't go say anything to your public officials because you kind of you're locked down due to COVID. You can't leave the state due to COVID. Nobody's going to be able to rise up and organize.
Job market yesterday was released, 250,000 jobs, a pittance of what they expected, particularly with Christmas hires. Nobody's working.
They're working 3 jobs because keep in mind, the service industry eliminated half the jobs and still never brought them back. Most of these restaurants and bars are closed during the day still, till 3 or 4 o'clock. Drive down Ionia. There is nothing open until 4 on Ionia. So all of the day shift workers, there's no day shift jobs. All the 24-hour places are no longer 24 hours.
Let's play general here. Let's play general to the world's problems, okay? We see the Colorado River almost dried up, supplies water to 4 states, okay?
Yeah.
We see a fire season that has no break any longer. We're just talking climate.
Right.
Which Chomsky and these guys say is our number one threat.
And that's it.
The
People are going
violence
to
we
need
spent
water.
the first half of our show talking about that's out of control. The COVID, whether it's mythical or whatever, it's cutting our throat. Economically, the inflation, on and on it goes. I don't see a halftime break. I mean, at least a boxer gets a corner to sit in for 30 seconds
That's
in the
my
14th
point.
round. We're getting nothing.
Oh, I know. And for me,
the mental health right now is gone.
Oh, I know. There's no mental health care.
There's no mental health.
Nope. They'll lock you in a prison psychiatric unit. That's about it.
There's no help. And that's being flooded with people at its worst time in history. Punt. Yeah. Snap the ball and punt the ball. I don't see what else to do.
Yeah, there's really nothing else to do.
I mean, we talked earlier about Trump being the match, but I'm listening to my...
Trump's just another one of the problems.
Exactly. Our health director in 2016 when the PFAS came out. I mean, all of our entire health department, did they come out and protect us? No, they were passing out gift cards and hiding everything. Like, it has been such a violent government atmosphere for so long that it's not a surprise it trickled down to the people.
No, it certainly isn't. One final story I want to leave you guys with. Listen to this. Scientists say they've witnessed a never-before-seen type of replication in organic robots created in the lab using frog cells. Among other things, the findings could have implications for regenerative medicine. These are living robots that have now found a way to self-replicate. This ought to scare the hell out of everybody.
There's a hilarious quote in that article, Darren.
Yeah.
He says that it turns out that the organisms have something in common with robots. They're like the same thing.
Hey, they shut the light off. The robots get a little fun. Come on. It's Christmas.
Oh, God. We're going to leave that alone. We got to get out of here, folks. We'll be back next week.
If you haven't tried it, don't knock it.
Yeah. I'm Darren Gibson.
I'm Katy Steele.
I'm Jack Prince.
For our announcer, please support independent media and the First Amendment.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.